Hi, welcome. Tonight I'm going to be doing some more live drawing of film still studies, which is a thing that I like to do when I don't know what to draw. It's good practice, it's good color practice, composition practice, anatomy practice. I've actually been drawing most of the day, but it's stuff that I can't live stream because it's for clients. So I think the movie I'm going to start with today is called Ganja and Hess. It's a 1973 movie. Here's the log line from IMDb. After being stabbed with an ancient German-fested knife, a doctor's assistant finds himself with an insatiable desire for blood. So it's effectively a vampire movie. Beautiful movie. I definitely recommend that you watch it if you're into that sort of thing. But yeah, that's what I'm going to be working on. I'm going to get some music going for the stream. Feel free to come in, ask questions about illustration, chat about stuff. If you have questions about drawing digitally, I'll be working in Photoshop. This program that I use on the right to organize reference and just to have it up is called PureRef, which is an amazing program. Lo-fi hip-hop beats. Yeah. Some of that going. Hopefully you can hear me okay. If not, you know, you can say something. All right, let's get started. The first part of this is probably going to be warming up. Sometimes it takes a little bit to kind of get settled into drawing, and sometimes you forget how to draw. It happens to me all the time. What's up, Chris? The movie is called Ganja and Hess. It's a movie from 1973. It's effectively it's a vampire movie. It's on Shudder. I think that's probably the only place where it is right now. I think it said it was leaving soon. I don't remember. There was a reason that I watched it though. I watched this during my second vaccine recovery time, where I was in bed with a fever of 102. So like maybe that's why I liked it so much. But a really beautifully shot movie. So it's got to pick a scene that I want to start with. I know which one I want to start with. Where is it? Yeah, Ganja and Hess, spelled just like that. Yeah, there's the title screen. It's the name of the two main characters. This is Dr. Hess, and then this is this woman's name is Ganja. Another thing that's going on with these that I don't think I explained last time is that these frames that I made, this sort of working document that I have, this ratio is 16:9, which is a much more modern format for films, especially more modern than 1973. So when I'm doing these, it's not like a master study or a master copy exactly, where I'm trying to make this exactly like the image that I'm looking at. I'm kind of just getting the feel of it. So that's what I like to do. I don't particularly, it's my own assignment. I don't feel that I need to copy things exactly. I'm trying to just kind of, get the feeling of it. So a lot of my lines starting out are really exploratory lines where I'm trying to figure out where things are, trying to figure out proportion. Kind of just make some landmarks. Also, obviously not really going for likeness or anything. I don't really need to do that for a project like this or an assignment. Just some basic skill building stuff. And it's great because you don't really have to think about it. Like, there's the still. I just gotta draw what I see. Getting a little too specific here. Kind of drawing too many details instead of general stuff. So I'm going to back off that a little bit and try to get some of these flowers. And come back through here later and add color, just general color. I'm not really much of a painter. I like to work more flat and graphic. Which makes doing these studies a lot easier because I can give myself a lot more permission to just interpret things how I want and be more loose. Always got to watch out for tangents. Tangents. I almost never want tangents. Almost never. Sometimes you can use a tangent. How's everything sound, by the way, in the stream? Some of these small details in the back, like the subway tile. In this scene, there's a bathroom. He's actually about to shoot himself in the chest, but oh, okay, good. I'm still audible over it. But some of the stuff in the bathroom, like all the background tiles and stuff, it's really easy to kind of get carried away and start drawing all those, and going in here and drawing every single line. But I may not need them, and they might just get covered up. So instead. Plus it's just a bunch of straight lines, so like I can easily add those. So I'm going to ignore stuff like that and pay more attention to the bigger shapes and the more narrative elements. Like, it doesn't matter that there are subway tiles in this bathroom. It just doesn't have any narrative meaning for the scene. So again, not a strict master copy. Also, some of the other stuff that's going on here is a lot of these brushes. I'm working in Photoshop. A lot of these brushes are, probably all of them. Well, with a few exceptions, this BM grain is a Ben Marriott brush. Everything else, though, I think are Kyle Webster brushes. So those are the tools that I use. Pretty common tools. Nothing really special there. I don't really care about brand names of tools. Just do they work or not? Sometimes people will get fixated on like what specific brush somebody's using, and it rarely matters. Cool. So since I've got these colors in the foreground that I want to stick out, I'm gonna take like a cool neutral color for the background, and to me it looks a little bit blue, a little bit on the light side, so I'm kind of in my color picker over here. I don't know how well you can see that. Trying to go over to this desaturated, lighter part of the triangle. I'm gonna grab this brush, Gouache Blair 70, which I assume is kind of a Mary Blair type. She's a Disney artist, kind of known for gouache painting. Did a lot of stuff for Cinderella and a lot of that classic Disney look. I like it because it's got like, it's not super opaque, it's got some grit to it, so like already like that, I feel like there's a lot more action and stuff going on in this flat. You know, I could have just taken my lasso and filled it and then gotten this near perfect edge, but that's not that much fun for me. So parts of that in the background are really too light, so I'm just going to take a slightly lighter, or too dark, what I painted. So I'm just going to take a slightly lighter version of that color and go in here and make some adjustments to the background. It's a pretty good idea to decide early on whether or not you're going to paint all on one layer or not. I probably won't, because what am I trying to prove? But if you are, you know, it's really hard to like paint all this detail in the front and then go in the back and paint all these small areas where you're seeing through to the background that was unimportant. So you're like thinking a different way. I think about this stuff a lot, the same way that I think about printmaking and screen printing and layers, rather than like a painter, I guess. I don't know, maybe painters think like that too. Who knows? You can see I actually made another layer on top there. It's also important, like there's a lot of like orange. When I'm looking, I'm seeing a lot of orange in this flesh tone, and the color that I picked doesn't really reflect that. I'm honestly not the best at picking colors. It kind of takes me a couple of tries. But you know, don't think because you're looking at something that has a local color that you just kind of grab that color, because it's really deceptive. I'm also probably not going to use anything that's really like a true black color in this, because it's like a 70s film. The film color sucked. There isn't going to be a true black. And the thing that I like about 70s movies is how the color looks. I'm also making some of this stuff up because I can't really see that well. Smaller. Now that I have a bunch of colors on my palette, I can also, or on my painting, I can use that as a palette to kind of go in and pick from, instead of having to go like pick a color every time. I can even, you know, lower the opacity of a brush and make a new color. I don't actually want that color. It's just an example, you see. Something for all of this sort of foliage in here. So I'm not gonna, you know, I think the inclination sometimes is to, you know, pick out these things like that you like about whatever you're painting, like the flowers or the face, and often it's characters or faces or things like that, because that's kind of what we gravitate to in images. But if I paint those things first, then I'm gonna have to paint over them and then go back. I'm gonna have to, you know, it doesn't really work super well, at least for the way that I work. So I have to just keep in mind that even though it's, you know, something might be the thing that I like the most in an image, that's not necessarily a good place to start. I think you'll see people getting started in art and doing character-based things, and they, you know, they want to draw the eye first because, you know, they're the window to the soul or whatever. But then you just get into problems, and you got this like lopsided, wonky face, and you don't know why. That's why. That's probably why. Painting over the background with a semi-opaque brush kind of makes some new colors too, which is nice. Same way that you would use an underpainting in traditional painting. See, now I've made a mistake. I just got into a detail that I didn't really need to get into yet, and now I'm going to paint over it. You'll see in a second when I find a nice salmon color. So I painted these little, you know, bits of foliage that were hanging down, but I got to paint something underneath that, so. But that's not a big deal. So with saturation now, you know, thinking about that sort of trick of local color, like what can happen is we'll look at this red flower, and we'll think, oh, that's red, so, you know, I need to grab a red, but that's actually way too red. And we might think like, well, we want that to stick out a little bit, so it needs to be really saturated, but the saturation actually works against whatever other colors are around. So since I used really low saturation colors for everything else, any little bit of saturation above that low saturation is going to make colors pop quite a bit. So like this is, pardon me, this is still a fairly saturated, desaturated color that I'm picking over here. But it still sticks out pretty well. I also have to make some stuff up because this value here is almost identical to the value of this character's skin, and so in the actual scene it sort of disappears, but I don't want that because it kind of doesn't look very good. So with this I can actually, there's a couple things I can do. I can change the value a little bit, but you can see it would just completely disappear against that highlight that I have, or I can just move the thing over. So that's one of the things that is a problem with, especially with film stills, because it's just one shot out of a moving image. You're not always going to get, you know, maybe the best composition. More yellow. So this white flower that's kind of in the middle of that bouquet, like, there's no way it's actually white. Our brain is trying to tell us that it's white, but our brain is wrong. Oh, hello, Cleric. How's it going, bud? I'm just here doing some drawings. Talking about drawings. Trying to remember to describe what I'm doing instead of last time when I just quietly drew for hours, and that's not very informative, you know? That's not art school. That's just watching some loser draw. You doing some lazing? That's cool. It's a good day for it. I think I made you a mod, so, you know, if anybody gets unruly, you can just kick them the hell out. Look at that. Isn't that nice? Yeah, kick him in the shins, bud. It hasn't happened yet. I'm not looking forward to it. You know, people can get mean on the internet. You know? I'll tell you, in the movie, this mustache person, like, he's not that good of a dude. Just keep that in mind. Yeah. Oh, see, I accidentally made a new layer. I don't really want to make a new layer. So far, I'm doing a lot of this still on just one layer with the... I did make it separate from the background layer. I'm making some of this up too. You know, you can see it's like, it's kind of hard to see really what's going on in there. So But you know, the rule is for illustration, like you got to just make it cool. So if you can't tell if it's cool, you got to find a way to make it look cool. And then people go like, oh man, that's a cool image. And hopefully they pay you. And that's what you want. Looks pretty cool and image. Yeah, it is definitely image. That goes without saying. 100% image. So now I can kind of draw additively and reductively just by kind of going in here, selecting the colors next to lines and kind of carve out a line that way. No. Yeah. There's a little tiny bit, but not as much of a highlight up here. Oops. Picked the same color. Maybe it is the same highlight. That's kind of too... So now, it actually kind of causes me problems to have these on separate layers, so I'm going to combine those. Come in here, cut out this nose a little bit. That actually needs to be kind of... Yeah, the proportions were off, you see. Alright, so I'm going to take a slightly darker and slightly more desaturated version of this color. Try to get this area of the eye, maybe. No, it's causing me problems. This is a lot of the process that I go through of just, you know, kind of this exploratory thing of making lines and check them, check a color, recheck a color. I keep trying to sort of figure it out and pay attention to your source material until you can get something to work out. Some people will try to solve this stuff with you know, overlay and multiply layers to do shading, and that can be fine too. It's just another way to do it. It kind of depends on what you want to work on. One of the things that I would like to work on is color choice and using the multiply layer tricks and stuff doesn't help too much with that. So there's not really like one right or wrong way to do it. It's just, what are you trying to learn? Also, sometimes if something's not working out, you can just get really expressive. Just make it wrong on purpose. You know, we're not cameras, illustrators. We're not trying to accurately capture real life, necessarily. We're trying to add expression to it, and story, and heart, and emotion. Much more subtle. Thanks for watching, people that are watching. I really appreciate it. Let me know if you have any questions, or if there's anything you want to know, or anything cool you drew recently. Cool drawing you saw. If you're not an illustrator yourself, that's fine too. Who knows why I did that? So the other thing with saturation and values and everything is, with an image like this, there's really only two spots that are like really, really bright, and it's those candle flames. So if we go too crazy with light colors, if we make some of the things in here that are white locally, like the, you know, whatever this bottle is here, the subway tile, then when we get to stuff like a candle flame, we actually can't render it. We can't draw it on top because we've made everything else too light. Kind of a shame to cover up some of that drawing under there, but you know, that's how it goes. That is how it goes. Same thing happens if you make things too dark. Make things too dark, they just get kind of overbearing and hard to distinguish things underneath it. So, you know, with this color, it's really dark, it's really close to black, but it's not black. It also still has some hue to it. It's still green. Even in dark shadows, there's still color. Midtones especially tend to be very saturated, but there's, you know, you can still have a pretty saturated heavy dark shadow. At 3 viewers. Thanks, 3 viewers. I appreciate it. Also, you know, just because something is a specific color, like if I take this, just color pick this vase that these flowers are in, because I need to make it lighter. It's considerably lighter. I think that might help a little bit, or at least I want to see what it looks like. But you can see it's kind of more in this red-orange spectrum. But if I'm making a lighter area on that, the color is actually affected by the light. So I can change the hue a little bit. Same way I did in the flesh tone highlight. So it's not just adding like white on top of things. It's not just lightening things or making it brighter. When color alters the, you know, what we're seeing of an object, it also alters the color of that object. Now we have this sort of more saturated area for the highlight. And a less saturated area for this somewhat shadowed area, and that can help give an object more dimension, more believability. never like when the lo-fi hip-hop station suddenly gives me like something with lyrics. I want no lyrics. None. So I'm getting darker over here with the hair, but still not black. One of the things that I have to contend with sometimes when I do these is the size of the document. So this document, I don't know if you can actually, yeah, it doesn't actually show up on here, but it's 300 DPI, but this is only one frame in here, so I'm actually working really small. There's nothing about this that I would be able to print, and it can alter the way that your brushes work. And so you got to pick a size that you like, that you can work with. Since I'm not printing these or anything. Oops. I really don't like that. That makes it too dark. Even though it does look really dark in the screen capture. His nose is more rounded. At a smaller size, it's hard to get this brush to do certain things because it has so much texture and sort of overlay to it. I don't know why I made this guy's nose do that. It's not what his nose does. Let's see if I can inch towards this. A little darker. So I had to use my imagination / knowledge of anatomy at some point too, and just say, you know, exaggerate some of these things just to make them work at all. Probably something I should have done on a different layer. Okay, it's fine though. It was fine. So now I'm on a different layer with a way darker color. This might be as dark as it's gonna get for this. Doesn't need to be perfect. Again, it's not a master copy. I like how his head slips back though, and I want to capture that. I think that is a cool feature of this guy's head.
think, well, I add a little bit more, little tiny bit more, just to some of these flowers to give them the sense that it's not just, you know, a blob of color. Just a little bit of a highlight. This one I probably can't give a highlight, so I gotta give a low light.
Sure.
Kind of level some of these things off, do a little carving. I think about drawing like sculpture a lot. Kind of going into things, carving them out, shaping them rather than, you know, drawing a line and filling it with a flat. There's some stuff in here where it's just like, this all feels so empty. Some of that is because, you know, again, this probably isn't 16 by 9, whereas this frame that I made is 16 by 9, so... So I've kind of got, you know, some extra space that I wouldn't necessarily have. Plus, this bottle is in the shot, whatever the hell this is. A lotion, or I don't know. He's in a bathroom in this scene. This is neither Ganja nor Hess, by the way. I meant to write this up here at the top of the stream. Yeah, now people know. It sticks out so much. I really don't like that. I don't like that either, though. There we go. Maybe. Yeah, there we go. Knock it down. A little bit better. A little bit better. Cool. Alright, time to do a little stretch. Drawing's pretty hard on your body. So it's important to do stretches. And take care of yourself. Alright. New scene. New scene. that's a cool scene. This is a cool... There's so many cool scenes. Oh, yeah, this was one that I wanted to do. Looks hard, though. Yeah, so we should probably do that one. We'll see what happens. Where did the... I just fully combined the drawing layer too. Wow. It's very brave of me. So I'm gonna make a new layer for Sketch. So yeah, this one here, this blue gremlin face maybe. Oh, this one with the hands is really cool too. There's a lot in here. She's like holding a diamond. There's a lot in here that's, I think I would have to imagine, so I don't know. I don't know. Alright, let's take a crack at this face. I kind of like, on one hand, I don't want to do it because it doesn't really have anything to do with the movie. And it's also just like a centered, you know, face scene. And there's tons of those. If you watch movies, if you pay attention to screenshots, like you're going to see those over and over again where there's really just kind of a close-up on a face. It's a way to identify with a character, to have narrative moments, to have like quiet reflection of that character or whatever. So you see them a lot. This is normally kind of how we interact with people, is kind of a medium distance, centered, looking at their face. So a lot of people training as an illustrator or working as an illustrator, like they do those millions and millions of times. They don't have to do them all the time. It tends to be pretty easy. So with this, it would be really more about the color. So the trick to a lot of this stuff, again, is just working general to specific. I can't get hung up on, you know, one nose or one eye or something like that. I need to bounce around a lot so that I don't get things wonky. It's also a bit of a stylized face, which can make some problems sometimes because if you're kind of a academic drawer, you may have been told like the correct way to draw a face, which, you know, there isn't one really, but we might see something like this that's like a realistic-ish statue and start drawing realistic stuff, but it's really not realistic. I mean, if you look at the nose on this statuary, it's got some information there that you really wouldn't see in a real human nose. So this is actually a picture of a statue, not a human face. The hell? These beats. Much better. You see, like, the earlobes on these goblin ears are really exaggerated. There's no information inside of the earlobe. It's like this weird, I don't know what it is. It's all made up, so you can't draw it the way that you would draw an academic head if you're in art school or something. Too fast, too furious outside. Hopefully you can't hear too much of that. I live on the loudest street in this area. I'm making up some of this drawing because I don't actually know, again, kind of what's going on under here. We got this shininess and blood and stuff. But I've seen statuary before. I didn't even see this little leafy, viney over here. Like how I drew those. They are two. I'm just going to, I'll paint those in when I paint them. Make that bigger. Fix some of this nose stuff that's going on. So angry. Why is that? Okay. Looks a little redder to me than that, and also since there's so much green in this face, having a little bit more red in that background, a little desaturated red, is going to make that pop a little bit, I think. But it's lighter than that. But it's redder than that. Yeah. Small adjustments. So I'm actually going to go through, like cross over a little bit, because I'm going to paint over that. It's like trapping. which is a printmaking process where you kind of overlap colors so that if they misregister, you're kind of covered. You don't see that big white gap. So doing it here just gives me a little bit of a buffer so that when I'm not trying to like butt these edges up and draw them perfectly, because that sounds hard. I don't want to do that. Okay, so I'm going to do like a medium. I usually try to pick like a mid-tone sort of thing rather than a dark or a light. So that'll give me a base to work off of to make things darker or lighter. I can use kind of like light pressure on my stylus to force a little bit more of that texture in the brush. This does have like a pressure-based opacity thing. I'm going to do the same thing over here. Having these messy textural things can save you a lot of time and make it look like there's a lot more information there than there actually is. Kind of make things feel real. Like this is a, I don't know, a stone stucco wall or something that this is inset into. It's not just a flat plane of color. We don't really see a lot of flat planes of color in the real world. I'm just trying to pull out some of the dark areas. I'm going to paint these leaves on top so it doesn't really matter if I cover up some of that stuff. I can still see it in the sketch. I don't like that color I made. Round that shadow out a little bit of roundness to the nose there. time for this weird bloody mouth. One of the things I really like about 70s movies, especially horror movies, is like this thing where they couldn't use, they'd like get around the censors by using these really wild colors of fake blood. They don't actually look anything like blood. Like if you ever see a Taxi Driver, you get this like fluorescent magenta blood. Highlights. Lots of very large, loud vehicles here. Okay, so I lowered the opacity of that line layer so I can still see it a little bit, because some of these are really, you know, there's going to be these kind of really hard to get values, small lines and stuff, but I don't just want to use the lines that I drew. Because they're actually much harsher. Like you wouldn't see these kind of lines on a human face, I don't think. These are carved into, you know, stone or something. Try to unify some of this stuff over here. Nope. Didn't like it. think some of this stuff is gonna maybe come together after I paint in those leaves. Darker in there. I'm just making stuff up. Do some highlights. Yes. Back over here, get some more of these details in the ear. Little goblin ear. I know it's not a goblin. Or I don't think it's a goblin. Alright, so now I'm going to go on top of all of these things, and I'm going to bring my line layer back. Draw on some of these leaves. I think it's important that I pick an entirely different kind of green. Even if that's not technically correct in the image, it's going to help a lot to differentiate these shapes and what they're supposed to be. And make sure too to sort of use these leaves to embellish over any problem areas that I made. Cover up issues and avoid tangents and all that stuff. Now I can use them to fix compositional errors too. Like maybe I need something over here. Maybe this feels too empty, even though there's not, you know, technically a leaf there. I can add one. I think this is something that comes up a lot with my students, is sometimes they'll think like, oh, well, I can't put that there because it's not technically in there, but you know, who cares? Do need to avoid that tangent though. I think sometimes people feel that it's cheating, but it's not cheating. There's, you know, you're making compositional choices and altering them for an image, for a narrative, or for effect, or just to make the image work better or something. Like, it doesn't need to be technically correct. Okay, so what I'm going to do with this is I'm actually going to use the lock transparent pixels feature, which is this little checkerboard square up here above the layers. And what that does is it makes it so that since that's the only thing on this layer, these leaves, then the only place that I can draw is the leaves. So if I just pick, you know, this crazy yellow, the only place that any drawing will show up is going to be on those leaves. So that's going to make it a little bit easier to make this cleaner, because I've made these really too light. They're like a little bit too saturated. But it does kind of give it like a, you know, this sort of like cutout feel. I'll have to go in and fix that a little bit later. I can also do this to, you know, create like a sort of light source. So now I'm going to go on top, pick a little bit of a lighter color than this, but not too much. And then I can go through and add some of this this information on leaves, the vining, whatever the hell it's called. Look, I'm not a leaf expert. Veins? Vines? I don't know, man. It's just not important. Alright. So I can do a similar thing down here with lock transparent pixels. I'm going to take this and create kind of a darker shade. Yeah. Yeah. I like them apples. So, not a perfect copy, but again, it's really not what I'm going for here. Alright, another drawing, another break. Some stretches. I don't know if you heard my elbow pop. You can go in here and make some adjustments though. Add a little bit of detail in here. Yeah, okay. How's it going, everybody? Thanks for watching, by the way. What I do with these is, after I've done the drawing and it's up on Twitch, I'll download it, I'll put it on my YouTube channel, which is youtube.com/helloyoungillustrators. There's also stuff on there, lectures. I started doing it last semester. I'm a professor of illustration, and you know, way to go online. Obviously, you've heard about the global pandemic. So I did that as a way to record lectures for my students ahead of time and put them up there so people could watch them at their own time and at their own pace. Hey, Mediocre, what's up, buddy? Yeah, so they're still up there, and there's episodes about marketing, about business cards, about cold emailing, about just, you know, what is illustration, like what are we even doing, different types of illustration, different markets of illustration, that sort of stuff. But yeah, so after I'm done with these live drawings, I will download the video, post it to youtube.com/helloyoungillustrators. You can watch it there. You can subscribe to that if you want. How you doing, Mediocre? I don't know what to draw next to these. What am I sipping on? Oh man. That's chamomile tea. Chamomile tea is good for you and me. It's in my Canada mug too. Road tripping in my direction all the way out east? You coming this far? I don't know where that is, but if it's near Lancaster and you want to come say hi, you just let me know. I am fully vaccinated. What do I want to draw? What the fuck do I want to draw? Sorry for the F word, everybody. Maybe I need to pick something from another movie. I got all kinds of movies on here. This is my just giant, one of my giant reference boards of film stills that I use. How long have I been drawing? Hour and a half? That's not bad. 45-minute studies. I can do a couple more of those. What I'll do, I know what I'll do. Bring up my female prisoner Scorpion. Hour and 45 minutes from me? That's close, man. You taking the fam? That's short for family. We'll do some more female prisoner Scorpions. I made a board specifically for now. Frozen. There it goes. Because this movie's amazing. Series of movies, I should say.
I don't know what all you can show on Twitch, so don't get me banned, but, you know, this guy got what's coming to him. Got impaled there right in the... Oh man, that's cool. That'll be a good road trip. Drive through Indy and see the dead polo courts. There we go. Oh man, yeah, that sucks. Like I'm it's been yeah. Man, I don't want to intrude on your family trip. Yeah, it's been look at that tangent. What was I just talking about? It's been a year and a half, maybe longer, since the last time I saw my folks. It's fucking pandemic, you know? Oh, nice. I'll have to look into that. I can't even tell you last time I went to an amusement park, man. It was probably Kings Island 1999 or something. Listening to Korn. There's all kinds of wrong stuff about the proportions of some of this stuff that I'm drawing. Get messed up in here. You camping along the way? Or are you doing hotels? What are you doing? Doing the KOA? I don't even know if those things are open. Hotel? Yeah, that's probably better. Right now, this film that I'm doing, or this still that I'm doing, is from a series of movies. Well, this is the first one, called Female Prisoner number 701 : Scorpion. It's a set of early 70s Japanese sort of exploitation movies. There's this genre called Pinky Terror, of these sort of like women's revenge movies. So the plot of this movie is this woman
brutal movie. Like, obviously it was the 70s, so you know, a lot of things that we are really sensitive to now, and I think rightfully so, they were not sensitive to then. So, you know, for anybody watching, the you know, the content warning for basically everything. But I will say, the whole theme of the movie is, you know, this woman is sort of betrayed by her boyfriend, who's a crooked police officer, and the rest of the movie is her getting revenge on all of the cops and wardens and all of this stuff. And like she basically gets kind of used and framed by this cop boyfriend, and then ends up going to jail. Then there's like, you know, prisoner ladies in jail that are crooked, and they've got like a gang or whatever. Super stylish movie too. I mean, I was just absolutely floored by some of the visuals, cinematography. That's always what I'm looking for. Makes good stuff to do drawings from. I mean, even something, you know, a simple scene like this is like, it's so simple, but it's fucking cool. Like the way that it's staged out, how this figure is sort of profiled and framed by these other figures, the way that we kind of move the eye through different narrative parts of the film. Yeah, I'm a big fan of revenge movies. I don't know why. I've never gotten revenge on anybody. I'm not a particularly vengeful person. There's just so much injustice in the world, you know? It's like a little bit of what do they call that? It's like wish fulfillment. Just watching somebody get justice. God damn it, shouldn't be that hard. And she does. I'll say that too. She sure does. Old Boy, hell yeah. That was actually, you know, so that was a movie that I rented from Blockbuster. R.I.P. Blockbuster. But I rented that movie from Blockbuster just based on the box. I was like, there is something about this movie that is cool as hell. I don't know what it is yet, but it was like calling to me. I rented it with a friend of mine, and was not disappointed. So all the Chan-wook Park movies, Sympathy for Mr. Vengeance, Old Boy, and then Lady Vengeance. I got to see Lady Vengeance in a art theater in Indianapolis. I don't know if it's still there. Dude, yeah, I don't know. That was just one of those, it was like something was like, you need to see this. And I did need to see it. I love Old Boy. You see how it kind of like, you know, the lineup of these cops sort of draws, like kind of makes this line kind of bringing you to, you know, big messed up eye cop. Solid cinematography. Good composition. This is where I get a lot of this. I mean, I do like kind of, you know, want a lot of my static work to feel cinematic. So I use a lot of Oh, absolutely, yeah. And you know, those movies, the Chan-wook Park movies, are Korean. This is a Japanese franchise of movies, but Korean and Japanese revenge movies are like that's a whole thing. They're very good. There's a lot of them. I Saw the Devil. It's another amazing Korean movie. The guy from Old Boy who plays Odesu is the villain in I Saw the Devil. That movie is absolutely brutal. Yeah, rule of thirds. You know, it's funny, like, another thing that happens when you do this, I taught a class this semester called Process and Production, and I had my students do this a lot. You know, doing these things like these film studies and paying attention to how they're composed, you can then really easily build a library of compositions for your illustration work. Like, you can draw back on this stuff and go like, oh yeah, like that was a really cool thing. I want to apply it to this story, or I'm going to change this thing or that thing, rather than, you know, I think sometimes people think you have to make all this stuff up out of thin air every time, and that's hard work. You kind of create systems to make images out of, create systems to solve problems with, solve visual problems with, rather than approach every problem like some brand new, never before seen issue that you have to create a brand new, never before seen solution to. That's too hard. And that's not really what pros do, I don't think. It's certainly not what I do. I'm kind of lazy. I'm trying to find, you know, like what's a good way that works, rather than what's the most amazing, you know, greatest, like life-changing genius artist thing. Like, I just don't care about that. It's not achievable. A lot of it's a myth. There's a lot of privilege and class that's wrapped up in that stuff. Kind of why people even talk about it in the first place. So I find it best to just avoid it. I'm not surprised that she made you turn it off, man. It is rough. It is a rough movie. I saw you do see the devil. We all saw the devil. Yeah, it's a tough movie to watch. Honestly, it took me a little while. I'll admit, I turned it off a couple of times. It was brutal. Oh, there's 5 people in here. I wonder if that's true. If there are, hey, how's it going? How you doing? Had those big everything is mediocre numbers in here now. Alright, so I'm going to grab my Gouache Blair 70. So there really probably isn't a ton of orange in the background. But I'm going to kind of embellish it a little bit. Going to bed. Hey man, thanks for jumping in and talking. Have fun in PA, man. Have fun. I'll have to check out that park. Hope you and your family are safe. Always appreciate watching your streams. Have you come in here. People should check out Everything is Mediocre on their Twitch channel. They're a print shop in Columbia, Missouri. It does awesome work, really cool people, family owned small business. But you can watch them print live, or you can watch Jonathan get scared of video games sometimes. That's always fun. I mean, scary video games. It's not like he's just getting scared of any video game. They're scary video games. I'm not trying to throw him under the bus like that, you know. So I'm getting, you know, a little bit tired. I've been drawing for a couple hours, so I am going to forego really trying to match colors too much. And I'm not really that much of a painter. I don't care for painting. It's just not what I do. So these are going to be a little bit different, a little bit looser than some of the previous ones. And again, you know, there's not like one right way to do this stuff. It really depends on what it is that you're trying to, like, what skill are you trying to build? Are you trying to build rendering and, you know, realistic rendering, realistic painting? Are you trying to do master copies? Great, do master copies. If you're just trying to work on composition, great, just work on composition. I think sometimes, you know, people like to give advice that is really kind of like blanketed. They'll just be like, oh, this is the right way to do this, the one right way. But in illustration, art making, image making, crafting, whatever you want to call it, there isn't a lot of right ways. It's kind of gatekeepy for some people. I don't know. Maybe they were told that there's a right way and they believed it. I never believed that stuff when I was told it. I'm kind of a pain in the ass that way. Turn the opacity on this down a lot. Yeah, I'm bringing those horns. Really is kind of more like a more like a desaturated light greenish there maybe. Sure. There we go. Back to these cops. Just gonna paint these ties. I like giving little, you know, it's like, it's cool, all the little expressiveness of ties. It's not just like a flat line, you know. It's got some depth. They kind of make cool things, especially you get it tucked into a jacket, it gets kind of like bunched up and it pills up a little bit. I think that's kind of a cool feature. eyes to look okay. 'Cause it kind of like, you know, looks goofy on the in the film. Brush isn't gonna do it. Oh, I'm on the wrong brush is why. I was like, what's going on? Back to good old gouache Blair. That's what happens. Sometimes I get like a little trigger happy sometimes, you know? No pun intended. Shadows in here. This guy's like a lot of heavy shadow, which is nice, because I don't have to draw as much. Draw this angry grim. I really like this guy's expression. I mean, he just got like a big glass shard in his eye. He's just pissed off. He's not even doing anything about it. Everybody else is all concerned. Turn off the line layer. Nope. Way too cartoony. Some of this stuff on their little cop hats. It needs more saturation, maybe more lightness too. Still also very peach. Yeah. Yeah, that's a little better. Few more details, and then we can call it a night, because I'm tired. You're probably tired, but I appreciate you tuning in, watching Hello Young Illustrators. I don't really have a schedule for these because I feel like that would make it feel like a job. I already have a job, and I don't make any money from this, so we're gonna avoid that. But I will do it, you know, when I'm able to. I plan to do it fairly frequently. Sometimes I just get on here and play video games. That can be fun too. It's good to have other hobbies. Yes. What do we think? Do we think that's done? I'm gonna get rid of these goofy eyes. Those don't look. He doesn't need eyes. It's fine. It's fine. All right. I think that's good for the night. That's a good 2 hours and 16 minutes of drawing. 3 film stills, 2 from Ganja and Hess. 1 from Female Prisoner 701 Scorpion. It's a really fun movie. Pretty gory. You can see there's a lot of stabbing involved. So, thanks for watching. In a couple of days I'll have this transferred over to my YouTube channel, which is youtube.com/HelloYoungIllustrators. You can also follow me on Instagram. I'm on Instagram at Robert Young Illustration. So yeah, thanks for watching. Hopefully I'll see you again soon. See you around.